Hello and welcome to this new tutorial, and today I will explain how to add some parallax effect in 2D images. So what is parallax effect? A parallax effect, it's just as when you look outside the window of a train and you see the foreground element passing faster than the background element. So let's first remove this little thing here. So my face can appear not being shattered by the issues. So there's mainly two ways of doing that into Smode. One is using only 2D method and the other is 3D method. So let's start by the first method. So I'm going to go in standard pack, texture, example image, and just drag and drop some of those images to create a first composition. All right. So the thing here, and let's add another little object like this one that we will put on the foreground. Okay. So first I'm going to, before I start the parallax effect, let's just remove the little white border here. So to do that, you have a modifier in a right-click utility that is called the alpha choker, and that allows to fix this kind of issue. All right. So the first way to do it is to animate the parallax from a timeline or to expose that as a parameter, as exposed parameter. And to do that, I will expose all the all the X position of every one of my layers. So this little slider here. And to do that, I select my three different layers that I want to animate, and do a right click on this parameter, specifically the X parameter, and expose as percentage. So here it will ask me the beginning and end value of each one of my parameters, so I will just leave that as default. And now I have this new expose parameter created with, if I unfold it, three targets that represent the value of the X value of each one of my layers. So if I do a right click and select sprite symmetry, then it will select show me which parameter is animated. Now let's click on the expose parameter and go on edit. And here we have this little function that holds our layers. So first is the mountain of the background on the background. So let's put that a little bit on the left, for instance. Let's put this one a little bit more on the left. And this one even more. Okay, so that's the first way of doing it. And as you see, the main issue here is that my images are then going out of screen. So one thing to correct the issue is, well, to adapt the size of each one of my layers to be sure that it doesn't go out of the window. And as you see, I'm just correcting the Y position and the scale. And here in this slider, I have only the X position animated, so the animation will remain the same. Up. So that's the first way of doing it. So here my layer is still a little bit too big. So that's the first way of doing it. And the second way is to use a 3D method. So now I'm going to demonstrate how to do the parallax effect using a 3D method, which will be more versatile and will help us to do some zoom out, some camera check. So it will be better to do this kind of effect. So to do that, what I'm going to do is to delete all of my slider, select all of my layer, and do a Control Alt P, like pixel perfect, to re-put my different layer in the correct zoom scale. And now what I'm going to do is transform this scenery in a kind of a 3D scenery. So let's take the viewport, split it, and have one in 3D to see exactly what we have in 3D. And I'm going to double click here to have more space in my viewports. So what I'm going to do is, inside all of this layer, go into the renderer tab and change that from type single to type 3D renderer. So let's select all the layer and change that to 3D renderer. And I leave the background as is, because the background I don't want it to move, so it's perfectly fine in 2D. So now you see we have our layer in 3D, all in the same position, and here it does shit. So what I need to do each time I use element with 3D position is create a camera. Okay, so here you see that my camera is just in front of my little layer, so let's place the camera a little bit better. Up. Okay. And now let's place the layer. So the only issue with this method is, as you see, you have no helper to help you. You cannot move that using any helpers. So you have to do that using the parameter editor. Hopefully here we will just change the Z position. So X being this one, Y this one, and Z being the depth. So let's put that in first position here. Let's put the forest in second, so by moving the Z parameter. So the parameter in the parameter editor, it's always X, Y, Z. X in the viewport being represented by the blue arrow, Y by the green arrow, and no, X by the red arrow, sorry, Y by the green arrow, and Z by the blue arrow. So okay, let's put this one a little bit further. Okay, now that we have all our elements set in a 3D space, then to do the parallax effect and the movement, what I can do is just take my camera and move my camera around, and then here you will have it. And so if I want to do a little camera check on this one, what I would recommend is create a 3D group, put your camera into the 3D group, and then on the 3D group I will just do a little check on the on this axis, the Z rotation axis, and maybe the X rotation axis. So let's do a create linear loop on the first one, linear loop on the second one, on both orientation. And now on both loop, I will select my loop Q here, go into function, and put that between -5 degrees and 5 degrees and 0 turn. And let's do the same for the other one, -5, 5, and 0 turn. All right. And let's put this function as noise. So now the issue is that at some point you will have a cut in your camera movement because the function is not the same at the beginning and at the end. So let's put this function as mirror repeat and repeat it 2 times. Let's do the same on this one and repeat it 2 times. And now let's just reduce the speed of both our Q. So let's put that manually, 0.1. Okay, so it's maybe a little bit OTT, but what is good with that is now it's my 3D group that is animated, which means that I still have, I still can move freely my camera as I want, and the animation will remain the same. And if I put my camera out of the 3D group, there we have it, no more animation. So now the other issue, let's deactivate the animation, is as you see, it's very easy using this method to get out of the layer. Well, to do that, there's no to not see to not go out of the boundaries of each layer. There's no easy method. The only one is to put your camera in the correct position. Or what you may use, for instance, let's do that on this layer, the forest alpha. So let's augment a little bit its size, so its pitch. Okay, so now it's way too big. But on this one, I will put a distort 2D transform, reduce the size. Okay, and now what I will do, let's check that in 3D space. What I will do is, on the wrap mode of my 2D transform, change the leak to left, right, and top, bottom. On top, bottom, I will put that as transparent. And on left, right, I will put that as mirror repeat. And now you have a nice repeating content. And let's put the 2D transform a little bit. All right. Okay. Let's put the wrap mode in none and put the bottom as mirror repeat also. Okay, it's not very beautiful, but it helps a little bit. So there you have it. That's how you can create some parallax effect. And then if you want to animate your camera, you can do that by creating a main timeline. Let's select the timeline and go on edit mode. And now I can animate any different type of parameter inside my timeline. So you see that the background here is disappearing, this background layer here. So why is that happening? I'm not really sure myself, I must admit. Let's change this parameter. Oh yes, I know why it's disappearing. So if you have this kind of issue here, it's probably because of the frustum of the camera, which you can find here, clipping distance. Let's remove the automatic, and let's put the begin a little bit, or maybe the end. Yeah, let's put the end a little bit wider. So what this clipping distance mean? It mean, of course, we cannot see anymore the frustum of the camera. Let's put that outside of the group. Okay, so now you see that the issue is fixed. To show what does this frustum, this clipping distance, actually it allows to tell Smode where is the beginning and where is the end of what he sees in its little viewing angle, which means like here we cannot really see on the viewport, but it means that between like 3 meters here and 5 meters somewhere, you will see what it is inside the 3D space, and if it's outside the clipping distance, then it will not. Well, that's it for today, and if you have any question, do not hesitate to say in the comment. See you later.